So I was listening to this thing, this video a few days ago, and they were talking about the ancients, and I've brought it up here. The ancients sacrificing to water gods, which was Ea, actually. Ea, look here, Ea, who was also called Yahweh, and he had many different names. And Ea was Ea and Enlil, but basically what Ea and Enlil were brothers. They were two opposing aspects, but they worked for the same boss. Ea was supposed to be the humanitarian. He had a little bit more compassion towards the people. Enlil was the authoritarian. But they were two, opposite ends of the same thing, really. They had the same boss, which was their father. Anyway, so the water is the giver of life. So I was listening to this, and they were saying that the ancient people used to sacrifice to the water gods. I'll read this here. Ancient people sacrificed offerings to the water god at the edge of a sacred pool nestled in a quiet forest in Belize. A deep aquamarine pool holds ruins from a time when the ancient Maya turned to a drought cult and hurried sacrifices to a water god to stave off the fall of their civilization. Here we go. So, this is the pool. Exploring the Belize Cara Blanca pools have revealed an increase in blah 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 rain god offerings during a time of drought. A newly discovered water to the water gods. Basically, that's what it is. Okay. Made me think of the smiley face killers, because a lot of these people end up placed in water, and who was it? Gannon, the police, the detective I think he was from New York, and the other detective, he looked into this for a long time. He said that there is an organisation, very slick organisation, across the globe, well, certainly across America, throughout America, committing these crimes. And a lot of people said they're serial killers. Well, no, they're not serial killers, and he never said they were. They're far more organised and slick, and they go way, way back. If you go and look at Jack the Ripper, Jack the Ripper is interesting because a year or two before the famous murders occurred in the East End of the prostitutes, there were murders where people were placed in the water. They thought that were committed by the same, well, they're saying Jack the Ripper, but basically what murdered those people, in my opinion, was a group of very slick, organised group of people. And that theory has been put out there before, because they think that, what the theory was, that an organised, slick group of, like, the Secret Service of the day went around murdering these prostitutes, because they made up this story that the prince, who they think had syphilis, I'm not sure, fell in love with a prostitute, and she had his baby, yada yada yada. That was the story of the day, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's true. What is important is that these murders happened as far back as Jack the Ripper, where people were placed in water. So, and they think Jack the Ripper was, or the organisation that committed those murders, were responsible for the water murders a couple of years before. So, that's what I wanted to say about that. They are appeasing it, because it's interesting to me that Ea is like the water giver, the water bearer, the age of Aquarius. So you have the fall of one civilization and the beginning of a new one, at the end of one cycle and the beginning of a new one. That's interesting to me, because it's like the fall of a civilization. It's appeasing the water gods, which would be Ea or whatever, has many different names. The thing is that it's like, and what's interesting as well is brain function has something to do with this as well. You've got a preference for young, fit males at the top of their game, young, very intelligent, and you've also got in the national forests in America and around the world, actually, this in Australia, they're saying people are going missing and what have you. You've also got children going missing that are, there's a preference, there appears to be a preference for people that are genius type, at the top of their game, genius, or autistic people, or people with, are on the autistic spectrum, or with learning disabilities or what have you. And what's interesting, like I've said this before, I'll say it again, when you have a genius brain and an autistic brain, they work and they function in a very similar way. There's very little between the two. So that's interesting. And then you have these men that are going missing in England. They're found in the water. The police won't say that they're murders, but they will. These men are going missing around the gay area of the UK. So you have brain function. Gay men's brains are supposed to be very similar to female brains. So you have a young, fit, healthy male at the top of his game with preference. Look at the brain, feminine, a masculine, a male brain that is feminine, in touch with the feminine aspect of their brain. That is genius type or autistic. It doesn't matter. Let's say genius type, genius. That has something to do with the way that brain functions. See, it said, doesn't it say that the angels went to the women because the women had women think with the right sides of their brain as opposed to the left. I mean, women think with the left side of their brain too. You have to have the two to function. But women are very much in touch with the right side of their brain. So they're intuitive, and I'm not saying men aren't intuitive, but you know what I mean. And because they understood, because the women understood what these beings were trying to tell them. Because it's not always logical. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was trying to add up the price of something, and he laughed because I kept getting it wrong. And I said to him, you know what, I did go to school. And he laughed. And I was saying to him, you know what, I cannot, numbers, I'm dyslexic, and numbers just jump around and I can't grasp them and what have you. I said, but I love quantum physics. He said, different side of the brain, love. Quantum physics and shit like that, you're thinking from a different part of your brain. I'm like, yeah, you're right, that's true. And so, you know what I'm trying to say? It's like brain function. They go for a specific type of brain that thinks in a certain way, that understands problems, and you know, that understands how to, and sees things perhaps pictorial, because see things in a pictorial way, in a symbolic way, see symbols, and as opposed to sheets of data kind of thing. Anyway, I know what I mean. So I just wanted to say that. I was thinking about smiley face killers, and it suddenly occurred to me that they are trying to appease what they believe to be the water god. And if you think it's a load of crap, it doesn't matter, because those that work for the controllers of this world do believe in this shit. Those that are truly controlling this world behind the veil or what have you, the people that are doing this shit believe this shit. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, and it's interesting that they're trying to stave off the fall of a civilization. They're trying to hang on to dear life with this reality the way that it works, but it's breaking down. They can't hold on to it anymore. This stuff appears to be coming to the fore. And I will put a video of a guy that I forget his name right now. Maxwell. And what he's saying, I think, is true. And I put his video in the down bar below once before, and this girl went crazy. She fucking bitch, stupid bitch, went crazy at me because he's a shell. What are you trying to do to us? Oh, shut up. Some of the things that people say are spot on. And I really hate this. You can't share anything with anyone because there's this it's almost like inverted snobbery going around. They're a shield, they're a lackey. Look, I know. But the thing is that sometimes people say things that are fucking spot on. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, so all I've got to say, thank you for listening.